Now on to a topic that everyone and their cousin is talking about. The I.N.D.I.A grouping yesterday decided to boycott 14 news anchors, including two of my colleagues here at the Times Network, Group Editor Navika Kumar and Sushant Sinha. Now here is the thing. We are known to be argumentative Indians. In a highly fractious society and sharp political divides, to have a vehement difference of opinion is natural. But can a boycott be the answer? As a result of this list of 14 being released, the BJP has likened this to Emergency 2.0 and asked whether only approved and certified people will now be allowed to ask questions of the Congress.
वे कुछ लोग जो भाजपा के मीडिया सेल के व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप में हैं, पीएमओ के व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप में हैं और दिन रात देश में नफरत फैलाने का काम कर रहे हैं। नफरत फैलाना आईपीसी सेक्शन 153 के अनुसार एक जुर्म है। इस जुर्म में हम उन लोगों का सहयोग नहीं करना चाहते।
मीडिया की आवाज को बंद करने का काम इंदिरा गांधी जी ने, कांग्रेस ने किया था। आज एक बार फिर कांग्रेस और गठबंधन जो इंडी अलायंस, उन्होंने फिर एक बार मीडिया की आवाज को कुचलने का काम किया। और मैं तो ये कहूंगा, इनको तो अपना नाम एंटी अलायंस रखना चाहिए, क्योंकि ये एंटी सनातन, एंटी डेमोक्रेसी, एंटी दलित, एंटी नेशनल, एंटी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन और अब एंटी मीडिया हो गए।
Now, of the 14 people who are on this boycott list, I don't know all of them personally, but it's also an issue of principles, because today it is a boycott. Tomorrow it could be a complete ban. Day after tomorrow it could be about arrests. And who knows what after that. Today it is 14 people. Tomorrow it could be 140, then 1400. It could be us. It just takes a small difference of opinion to escalate into a ban and then perhaps an arrest. The question also is then, what happens to the basic rules of engagement? Are we then supposed to have a situation where each side, and remember, unlike the United States, we are not a two-party democracy. We have got hundreds of political parties. Are then the media going to look out for certification from each and every party, or be in different camps? Then you will have a government-approved media, an opposition-approved media, a regional party-approved media, a Tamil Nadu party-approved media, a Bihar ruling party-approved media. Then is it media at all? Then will any questions be asked at all? And if you're having pre-approved questions, then what is the point of even having any kind of media existing? Will each party, each organization, even the media, then just be left in its own echo chamber? Is boycott the answer to differences? Let me take this across to Tuhin Sinha of the BJP, Tushar Gupta, Senior Editor Swaraj continues with us, Lokesh Jindal, Leader of the Congress, and Karuna Sagar, Spokesperson of the RJD. Karuna Sagar ji, I have a more fundamental question. To those who have issued a boycott list, don't you think it is counterproductive for your alliance to lose out on visibility? If you are going to boycott people, your point of view will not be seen. Who wins?
Well, Padmaja, first I want to congratulate BJP for having accepted the fact that we are living under emergency 02. We have been talking about this for a long time. Now they have started admitting it. Now, World Press Freedom Index, India stands at 161 out of 180 countries. If that is something to be proud of, this is what the BJP government has achieved in past 9.5 years. See, idea was that certain journalists who have sold their souls, forgotten their craft, and parroting narrative which was dangerous for the country. and there has been a lot of demand from the people. In fact, today, more than the national media, people are going to alternative media. You have seen a scenario where some of the best names in the journalism, either they have been thrown out of the jobs or they have resigned and they have started their own YouTube digital channels, and people are listening to
you've
them
hit the nail
for
on the
knowing
head.
the reality.
You've hit the nail on the head. If people do not like the content, they will choose what they want to watch. If you blacklist and black out people, how is that helping you? You do realize that at one point of time, one, you will not have visibility. Two, you will only hear what you like hearing. You will have no reality check. Who wins?
No, we have not banned channels. We have identified individuals, and certain individuals who have, the kind of journalism they have been practicing is not liked by anybody. There are people who come to me and they say when they open the television channels, their stress level goes up. So,
Karuna
see,
ji,
journalism
then
is
if people are doing
very
unethical things, go and counter them.
After all, you talk about...
Karuna ji, go and counter them. If somebody, tell me this, let me give you a hypothesis. If I sit here and I run something false about the RJD,
because...
and you are not here to counter it, I will run it anyway, right? Who wins? You will not get to counter it, sir. But people will watch it anyway. Who wins?
Padmaja, Padmaja, the very fact that I am sitting in Times Now program with you as an anchor shows that we have nothing against any channel or organization. But we are against an individual who is basically creating a narrative which is detrimental to the health of democracy of this country.
Okay. Now, again, I would like to ask, let me bring in Tushar Gupta on this. I don't want to focus on the political. Let me ask you, as the senior editor at Swaraj, the argument given is it is not about the media, it is about individuals like Karuna Sagar says who are detrimental to the health of democracy. Tushar Gupta.
Padmaja, my worry is not that they are boycotting these anchors, whoever they might be, whatever channel they might come from. The party has the entire right to boycott a platform from where they could make their voice heard, from where they could put forward their perspective. They have all the right to do so. Maybe it sounds like a self-goal. Maybe it is, but they have all the right to do so. My worry is when they label them as a threat to democracy. Because you, as rightly pointed out in your introduction, today they are boycotting them in the name of agenda peddling. Tomorrow they'll say they're a threat to democracy. Day after tomorrow they'll file some sort of a case against them in some state governed by one of these parties, and the fourth day it will be an arrest. That is my worry. You don't want to engage with an anchor or a channel, it's completely your right. But if you are going to label them because you dislike them or you disagree with them, that is where the threat begins, and that is what is making many people to say that this is like the emergency again. And again, Padmaja,
and also
point.
This is very subjective, right? Who decides what is unhealthy for democracy? I just played out an episode of where 9 children have been killed in Bihar, for example, in a bridge collapse. Tomorrow, the RJD can say, oh, this is spreading disaffection among people in Bihar. It's very subjective. And far from boycotting, they can go ahead and file a case. Where does this end? Speaking of people who are seen as agenda peddling, I want to show you some pictures. This is a gentleman called Niranjan Takle. Okay? He wrote that story in Caravan about Judge Loya. Subsequently, that story was debunked. He participated in the Bharat Jodo Yatra. He participated. He didn't go to cover it. He participated in it wearing a Bharat Jodo Yatra t-shirt. Now, does he remain an impartial journalist or does he get boycotted? Mind you, I am not saying he should be boycotted. I am just saying this labeling is very dangerous. Today, I.N.D.I.A. has done it. Tomorrow, BJP will do it. Where does this end?
Well,
Lokesh Jindal.
Well, Padmaja, yes. Padmaja, it reminds me of a cricket match in 1981, MCG. Sunil Gavaskar was not happy with the umpiring and he walked off the field because he was not out, but he was given out. The umpires, they were heavily biased towards the Australians. There was sledging going on by the Australians, but what was being targeted were the Indian players. This is something which people from the opposition face sometimes in the media. We face such a biased umpiring that we are not given a chance to put up our points forward. Many of the times, incompetent speakers from the other end, they come out with their own forms of ranting. They have a louder voice. They come up with their own forms of
Since you use the cricket analogy, let me ask you this. If you find the umpire biased, what do? You boycott the game of cricket? Or do you go and appeal against the behavior of the umpire?
Tell me one thing.
Boycotting cricket and saying, अब तो जी मैं cricket ही नहीं खेलूंगा ऑस्ट्रेलिया के साथ, that is not going to help you, is it?
Where should we appeal?
Who loses? You lose.
No, tell me one thing. Where should we appeal? The central government has no ethical standards at all. I mean, there is absolutely no way where we can put up an appeal. Many times we have put up an appeal. It's a self-regulatory. So the only thing, best thing that we have to do, we remind of Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi said, while he launched the non-cooperation movement, that when the Britishers, they are so apathetic to the cause of the common man, we shall not cooperate with them. What has happened, Padmaja, the Kashmir files, the Kerala story, all this was promoting hatred. There was a commercialization of hatred that was going on. Now, media over here in India, it is supposed to take up issues serious with respect to judiciary, with respect to economy, with respect to social issues, with respect to all other aspects which are dealt with a common man. A common man looks up to media with high aspirations, not with some commercial agenda whereby the media houses...
The media is expected to take up all issues. You do not get to decide what the common man cares for. Common man also cares for unemployment, also cares for inflation, but also cares if somebody makes a completely insulting comment about Sanatan. You cannot do this thing saying, oh, जब आप economy कर रहे हो, जब आप unemployment कर रहे हो, great. The moment you ask, why are you making this distasteful comment? Oh, this is a very communal, polarizing BJP agenda debate. We boycott you. No, sir. No, you cannot be the arbiter of what the common man wants to hear. But again, on that note, let me ask you, the gentleman who wrote that story on Judge Loya wore a Bharat Jodo t-shirt and participated in Bharat Jodo Yatra. Now, according to your certification agency, is he a journalist or is he not a journalist anymore? Since now people are distributing certificates, is he a journalist? Is he not a journalist?
Padmaja, recently the Supreme Court, it gave a call, or it highlighted that media and its nature of reporting is leading to media trials. It's leading to establishment of kangaroo courts. It is just not political. Even judicial institutions, they are highlighting the manner in which the media reporting has undergone deterioration.
Sir, are there flaws? 100% there are flaws. How is a boycott going to help? Another very senior journalist who currently, he's got global fame. He also walked in the Bharat Jodo Yatra. He also conducted an interview there. He is supposed to be impartial, but he is seen here walking with Mr. Gandhi. Is he certified as an impartial journalist or is he not certified as an impartial journalist?
Padmaja, impartial and partial with respect to political realm is something different.
No, but the boycott is happening because you're talking about hostile journalists. So, sir, hostile journalists का opposite क्या होता है? You are saying ये hostile है, हम सिर्फ friendly journalist को access देंगे. You do realize how counterintuitive it is. You are saying हमें सिर्फ दोस्ती चाहिए. Hostile nahi chahiye. Weren't you the people who said that the very idea of journalism is to be anti-establishment, not to be dosti?
Absolutely. The task of journalism as the fourth pillar of democracy acts as a check on the arbitrary power of the state. If the journalists, the media, it becomes pro-establishment, I mean, there is nothing that is left to make the government authoritarian.
Sir, I am asking you a very...
It is the checks and the fear of the media which checks the functioning bureaucracy, which checks the
Since you are talking about media checking the functioning of the bureaucracy, do you know that there is a man called Deb Mallya Bagchi? I'm sure you wouldn't have heard of him. But 2 days ago, he was arrested in West Bengal. Why? He had written a series of reports talking about illegal hooch trade in the state. People who are putting out lists of TV news anchors to be boycotted had no time to talk about how a man was actually arrested in West Bengal because he pointed out illegal hooch trade. I am again
hail
saying,
such journalists.
I am again
I
saying
hail such
that
journalists.
this marking out of a certain section as hostile journalists and speaking up against them, the next step is going to be arrest them. Who is to say you are banning them because they are hostile, or you are banning them because they are uncomfortable? Today you have othered them, you have banned them. Tomorrow you will jail them. It's a small step away. Where does this end? And let me say this. This is applicable not just to the Congress or to I.N.D.I.A. You will set the template, sir, and tomorrow it will be taken up by the BJP as well, if they haven't already. Where does this end? Tuhin Sana. Nobody wants people to be asking them questions. Nobody who's in power wants people to ask them uncomfortable questions. And tomorrow, if people who are asking questions of the government are arrested, Lokesh Jindal, you will have no right to ask questions because you did the same. You boycotted them first, then you jailed them in West Bengal. Tuhin Sana.
Well, Padmaja, the I.N.D.I.A alliance has got to be very unabashedly hypocritical to first pontificate on the World Press Freedom Index and then issue a Nazi-style hit list, banning those journalists whom they don't like. But like you rightly pointed out, the motive is something much more sinister. This will be followed by arrests, but it could also be blackmail politics where, like they're going to stop funding from their state governments for these channels eventually if they don't sack these journalists. And this reeks of a very sinister kind of politics. But why are we surprised? Congress specifically has a history of anti-democratic measures. The first major amendment to curb freedom of speech was brought in by Pandit Nehru.
The Congress says they're following your playbook, that in 2014 you banned a channel or you boycotted a channel because they were running an agenda against you or they were running stories that were uncomfortable for you. Congress and I.N.D.I.A, Tuhin Sana is saying this is your playbook. You started it, they're perfecting it.
There was no official ban. Let me fact check and them and correct them. There was no official ban. In the same way, they don't feel comfortable being on a lot of channels, with a lot of anchors. We were not comfortable with being with certain anchors who were deliberately concocting facts. And I can still, if you want to play certain videos, that specific channel, eventually most of the journalists today are redundant and they have to, run their own YouTube channels for survival, where they continue to peddle the same fake agenda. So I think there is no comparison over here. But point is, whenever the Congress has been in power, and since it is already fantasizing of being in power, I don't know when that is going to happen, whether it was in the regime of Indira Gandhi, whether it was in the regime of Rajiv Gandhi, who brought in the Post Office Amendment Act, which even censored personal mail, or in the time of UPA, where Sonia Gandhi brought in the draconian Section 66A in the Information and Technology Act to kill dissent. I think the Congress is basically fantasizing that, as and when they come back to power next, they will have certain people, all of them, out of employment, which will not happen. Okay. But like you rightly mentioned, I'm more worried about false FIRs being filed against these journalists. I don't know whether you're happy or sad about being left out from that list, but false FIRs being filed against these journalists is going to be next step, followed by blackmail politics, which I mentioned earlier.
Lokesh Jindal, many are comparing this to Schindler's List. The boycott is a euphemism for a witch hunt. You're marking out people.
During the UPA regime, during the second tenure, there were lots of accusations made on the ruling establishment. Did at any point of time Congress try to manipulate the media or the press in any manner? No. It is a false narrative that it is the Congress that manipulates the media. No. Right from 2014,
Sir,
I have records.
You're really lucky that when the Congress was in government, there wasn't social media. Otherwise, the stories, I'm sure you've heard them if you live in Delhi, stories of how certain ministers used to even correct what is being written on the channel sticker, saying, why are you writing this? The ticker should be this way. So
I'm
please.
getting social media posts full of hatred. And in 2016 itself, there was a BJP person who herself confessed that BJP has its own IT cell whereby people, they hurl abuses, try to narrow down, try to target people who question the establishment.
As opposed to other parties' media cell who put out Ramcharitmanas ki chaupai every morning on social media.
आप कीजिए, आप बिल्कुल क्रिटिसाइज कीजिए, लेकिन बात दोनों तरफ की होनी चाहिए, एक तरफ की नहीं. You cannot show one side to be absolutely fair and
सर,
all
अगर
good
बिहार
and everything
में
right,
पुल
and
गिर
other
गया
side, this
तो आरजेडी
extremity
जेडीयू से
that is
सवाल
being
पूछेंगे
shown
या
is
कहेंगे इन द
something
इंटरेस्ट
that
ऑफ फेयरनेस
the problem is.
बीजेपी से भी पूछो कि पुल क्यों गिर रहा है बिहार में? भाई सवाल तो
आप
उसी
मुझे
से
एक बात
पूछेंगे ना.
बताइए, सब कुछ ये 9 सालों में हुआ, सब कुछ ये 9 सालों में हो गया.
तुषार गुप्ता.
G20 आ जाता है तो सब कुछ
तुषार गुप्ता, there is a disbalanced scene which is why they don't want to participate in agenda peddling, says Lokesh Jindal.
They should not participate. It's totally their call. But does Lokesh Jindal remember Asim Trivedi? Does he know who was Asim Trivedi? Does he know what he was arrested for, when he was arrested? Do you know Lokesh Jindal? I doubt you do. Because if you knew, you wouldn't say that यूपीए के दौरान तो हमने कोई मीडिया मैनिपुलेशन नहीं करी. देखिए, आपको किसी को भी बॉयकॉट करना है, आप करिए, वो आपका अधिकार है, वो अधिकार आपसे कोई छीन नहीं सकता. बट ये जो लेबलिंग है, अरे वो तो एजेंडा चलाते हैं, वो डेमोक्रेसी के लिए खतरा है, ये गलत है. आप उनको ये लेबल करने वाले कोई नहीं होते. अगर आप किसी पार्टी पर, किसी इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट पर, किसी व्यक्ति पर, किसी नेता पर आरोप लगाएंगे तो आपके सामने सवाल भी रखे जाएंगे. उसको हम एजेंडा पेडलिंग नहीं कहेंगे, उसको हम एक डिबेट कहेंगे. अगर आपको डिबेट से भागना है, वो आपका अधिकार है, उसको कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं कर सकता. बट देन बाय डूइंग सो यू आर स्कोरिंग अ सेल्फ गोल. You have to be present to put forward your point, because when it comes to the voters, out of sight is pretty much out of mind.
You know, I'm just going to say this right at the end. I think that in politics and in the media, especially in the media, we give too much importance to ourselves sometimes, and we underestimate the intelligence of the viewer. The viewer is far more discerning and far too intelligent to be taken in by what is called agenda peddling and spin doctoring and, trying to give the agenda of only one political party. They will listen to everyone, but they will do exactly what they want to do. And in this space where the viewer is trying to listen to all points of view to try and make up her mind, if you absent your voice, think about who will really miss out. And let's not get to a point where we are certifying people or certifying media personnel as anti-nationals. Remember, that's the exact narrative that I.N.D.I.A stood against. Think about it. Thanks very much, all gentlemen, for joining me.